Good morning, everyone. It's Tuesday, January 10th, 2023. This is Iroquois County Board meeting. Will the clerk call the roll, please?
Alt. Here. Behrens. Here. Bentz. Here. Bowers. Here. Crow. Ducat.
Here.
Geiger.
Here.
Hughes.
Here.
McGinnis.
Here.
McTaggart. Awful. Here. Sure.
Yep.
Watts.
Here.
Whitlow.
Here.
Williams.
Here.
Zumwalt. Okay, 14 present.
Okay, this morning, Mrs. Awful is here.
Today we have Pastor Joe Hughes from Centennial Christian Church here in Waukegan that started in prayer.
Let's pray together. Father, we thank you for the day that you've given us. I pray that we may always be aware that you give us all these blessings that we take for granted, and just ask that as we go through this day, that we will look to you for the wisdom that we need to have to make the right decisions for the people of this county. And may we give you the honor and credit through all these things, Father, in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, Phil.
Okay, we need a motion to approve the agenda. Mr. McGinnis, is there a second? Mr. Hughes? Are there any questions or comments about the agenda? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion passes. We should have received a copy of the minutes from the December 13th session. Do we have a motion to approve those minutes? Mrs. Awful, is there a second? Mr. Bowers, are there any questions or comments about the minutes? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion passes. Next is payroll. Do we have a motion to approve payroll? Mr. Whitlow, seconded by Mr. Hughes. Is there any comments or questions regarding payroll? Seeing none, the clerk will call the roll, please.
Behrens.
Yes.
Bentz.
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Crow. Ducat.
Yes.
Geiger.
Yes.
Hughes.
Yes.
McGinnis.
Yes.
Awful.
Yes.
Sorry. Sure.
Yes.
Watts.
Yes.
Whitlow.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
And Alt.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, do we have any public comments this morning? I guess we don't, so we'll go to chairman comments. I do have a couple of things that I wanted to talk about. The first of which is last month we passed a resolution opposing House Bill 5855. I'd like everyone to know that that resolution has been well received. We've gotten telephone calls, text messages, emails commending us for our efforts. These have come from as far as away as California, New York, Tennessee, Wisconsin. And also I've received phone calls from several county board chairmen in this state wanting copies of that resolution that they could use for themselves. So I think this is something that we should take as a very strong encouragement for the need to stand up for our beliefs and values. And I'm just real happy the way this has turned out. So, on the other hand, sometimes things go the other way, and that's what's happening right now out in Springfield with House Bill 4412. We passed a resolution on this bill last year along with 77 other counties. This has to do with zoning, has to do with the siting of wind farms and solar. And the bill is being snuck through in the lame duck session. And it looks like we're on the short end of the stick. And I'm very disappointed in the process that exists. I don't know what we can do about it other than to remain steadfast and firm in our beliefs and what we think is right and speak up accordingly. So, on a different topic entirely, recently, the subject of business cards for the county board members has come up. This is not really a county issue, but if any of you are interested in acquiring a business card relative to your county board position, if you would see Doug Geiger or Amanda Longfellow, they can give you some information on how we can band together and to get something like that done. But the idea would be that we could have a card that would be somewhat uniform in appearance and also would be a little bit less expensive than going on your own. So if that's something you're interested in, please see either one of those individuals right away. Lastly, the thing that I wanted to comment on is we're down to 16 board members now. This is something that we approved last year. I think it's something that allows us to operate much more effectively. I think recently we're running through a period of time where there's illness that have stood in the way of many of us as far as attending committee meetings and so forth. But this past week, we've had a couple of incidents where committee functions were severely inhibited. And I want to urge everybody that if you're not able to attend a committee meeting, please contact the committee chairman as well as contacting me. And that way we will know what's going on and may be able to make some other arrangements, but at least it's very helpful. Now, I know some of you do that, but on the other hand, I want to emphasize the need that we recognize our responsibilities insofar as these committee meetings is concerned. That being said, we'll move on to the outside organization reports. Mrs. Crawford.
Good morning, Chairman, members of the Iroquois County Board, and guests. I'm Angel Crawford, Executive Director with the Iroquois Economic Development Association. I thought I wasn't going to be here today, but my schedule cleared up, so I'm glad I'm here to talk to you. Here is the IDA news for January. Later this month, IDA will be teaming up with Jeff Bryan and Samantha Forbes with the 370 Iroquois Area Regional Delivery System, or IARDS, to host a lunch and learn for local businesses, area superintendents, and school guidance counselors. This event will be centered around a regional Career Plus ecosystem through IARDS, which includes superintendents from Watseka, Milford, Iroquois West, Donovan, Crescent City, and Cissna Park schools. The Career Plus program, we believe that all students should have to graduate from high school into locally available in-demand gateway jobs with employer support for continued upskilling. Upskilling may come in the form of on-the-job training, employer support for continued education, or modern apprenticeships, with the latter placing a strong emphasis on hiring for aptitude in areas that can be harder to train in. Example, critical thinking, problem solving, adaptability, and growth mindset. And then train for specific, often more technical skills with the overall goal to retain local talent. When students learn about what local employers need and value, have the opportunity to acquire and use these skills in high school, and are supported by accessing early career opportunities with a clear career advancement opportunities, a great number of them will choose to stay. This program has the potential to grow communities in Iroquois County, promote local talent that will help us retain our great employers, attract new employers and the stories of success will attract the next generation of students with Career Plus opportunities. I will tell you that we found out about this program through going to meetings with Vermilion Advantage. So IDA frequently attends the local economic development, other economic development meetings in other counties. And that really helps to open up communication on what's happening everywhere. So Vermilion County is actually implementing this program prior to Iroquois County, so we're at the beginning stages. We really hope that businesses will be able to attend this lunch and learn. And I will tell you that where it originated was Lafayette, Indiana, and it's very, very successful there. So there's going to be more to come out, more success stories. We're super excited about doing this. Want to grow your business through government contracts? The Champaign Small Business Development Center is here to help. The Champaign SBDC is working with Bradley University to help provide assistance to businesses in Iroquois County that would like to pursue government contracts. The Bradley University Procurement Technical Assistance Center, or PTAC, helps businesses pursue and perform under contracts with the Department of Defense, other federal agencies, state and local government, and prime contractors. PTAC support to businesses includes registration in SAM, identification of contract opportunities, helping understand requirements, preparing and submitting bids. PTAC provides technical assistance to businesses interested in selling products or services to federal, state, and local governments. Small businesses who need expert assistance with PTAC services may schedule appointments with Kelly Kruger Herrera, Illinois PTAC Director at Bradley University, and to schedule a meeting, please contact Kelly at 309-677-3297, and I have her email address. For any additional questions on any of these topics, please call our office at 815-432-0072. Are there any questions? Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Are there any other outside organization reports? Seeing none, we'll move on to the committee reports. Members of the county board, your committee to whom was referred policy and procedure would beg leave to submit the following report on the matters before them. The committee met at the Administrative Center on December 29, 22 at 9:04 a.m. Members present were Scher, Duquette, Alt, Lyle Behrens, Michael McTaggart, Barb Offal, and Jed Whitlow were absent. Also present, Finance Manager Joe Johnson, ETS Director Eric Raymond, County Clerk Brian Suber, EMA Director Eric Sacy, and County Board Member Doug Geiger. The meeting was called to order. It was moved by Duquette and seconded by all to approve the agenda. That motion carried by a voice vote. There were no public comments. The committee chairs gave their monthly reports. Tax Planning and Zoning Chairman Duquette reported the committee will hear their standard reports. The Health Committee will also hear their standard reports. Highway Chairman Alt reported the Highway Committee will review and approve their monthly claims. EMA Director Sacy gave an update on the hazard mitigation grants, stating FEMA has accepted the grant. CC has been advised to hold off on any grant activities until formal approval is received. Upon receipt of the approval, CC's first step will be to send out requests for proposals for a contractor to assist with the hazard mitigation plan. CC is working on updating the Illinois Capability Assessment and THIRA tool as required by the state. In addition to this, CC is also completing a survey for the National Incident Management System certification. Early next year, the county's emergency operations plan is due to the state. The last update was in 2021. CC reported he will be on a webinar next week to discuss the IEMA rule changes. County Board Chairman Scher requested an update on the EMA vehicle. Stacy responded the vehicle is doing well, and he will be scheduling an appointment soon to have the air conditioner fixed. Sure noted it is important to stay up to date on the condition and future of the vehicle. The vehicle was donated to EMA. However, when it is at the end of its life, will the county board be required to replace it? CC commented the county board is not required to provide EMA with a vehicle, but it has been helpful to have the vehicle during emergency situations rather than using personal vehicles. The EMA vehicle has approximately 80,000 miles on it. Discussion on establishing a Facebook page for Iroquois County was tabled until next month. Executive Assistant Amanda Longfellow will gather details from EMA, Sheriff's Department, Health Department, and other counties regarding their Facebook pages. It also needs to be determined whether the county would like a Facebook page for the county board or for Iroquois County in general. Finance Manager Joe Johnson gave an update on the sexual harassment training. The completion rate for 2022 ended at 90%. There were 2 departments that didn't complete any of the training. Johnson said one of the departments has several contracted employees, and she had a conversation with them about how to handle their training in the future. For the coming year, Johnson will email the link to those that need to complete the training, and in-person trainings can be scheduled as needed. Continued discussion began on the personnel policy manual. The committee reviewed the policy along with the recommended changes from ICRMT as follows. Policy 1029, leave of absence. On bereavement, the wording was added to include attend a funeral or other services to grieve the loss of or to attend to business necessitated by the death. The language was also added to the child bereavement law, to include the child bereavement law, Policy 1030, leave of absence, Family Medical Leave Act. Language was changed to read for the employee's own serious health condition. Under the amount and granting of leave, wording was added to include the county uses the rolling backward-looking method for determining the available FMLA leave in a 12-month period, except in cases of leave to care for a service member. Also, in other words, paid leave will run concurrently with unpaid FMLA leave. For FMLA leave, requests made to care for a covered service member with a serious injury or illness, the single 12-month period begins on the first day the eligible employee takes FMLA leave. Paragraph 2 of the while on leave section includes working another job while on leave of absence is prohibited and will be cause for disciplinary action up to and including discharge. Also, an employee unable to return within the approved leave time frame should contact the county to determine if the employee may qualify for other benefits, including but not limited to a reasonable accommodation under the Americans with Disabilities Act or Illinois Human Rights Act. The third paragraph of procedure strikes, in the event the family leave is for the employee's own care, his or her health care provider must also certify either that he or she cannot perform any job or essential functions of his or her own job. The fifth paragraph of the procedure section changes language to read, when an employee takes FMLA leave for the employee's own serious health condition. In regards to the FMLA notice of eligibility form, it was recommended the county review the Department of Labor's updated forms and replace the forms as necessary. Policy 1031, leave of absence, holiday. Paragraph D of the responsibility section includes the language except as set forth above. Paragraph C also includes the language of holiday pay for the reasons set forth above. Policy 1032, leave, medical. Verbiage under the policy was changed to state that failure to provide a written request for the leave of absence may be considered job abandonment, and an employee unable to return within the 30-day time frame may be terminated. Also, working another job while on a leave of absence is prohibited and will be cause for discipline up to and including discharge. Policy 1033, leave of absence military. Purpose was changed to read, employees will be granted leave in accordance with federal and state military leave of absence laws. Paragraph 2, under paragraph 2 under policy includes the Illinois Service Members Employment and Reemployment Rights Act. Paragraph 3 has been revised to read, depending on the length and type of service, the employee may be eligible for unpaid leave, concurrent compensation, or differential compensation in accordance with the applicable USERRA and ISERRA provisions. Policy 1034, leave of absence, sick. Paragraph 1 under policy includes medical appointments that cannot be scheduled during non-working hours. Provisions were also added per the Illinois Sick Leave Act. Policy 1035, leave of absence, Victims Economic Security and Safety Act. This policy was tabled due to a sample policy needing review. Policy 1036, meal breaks, no changes needed. Policy 1037, nepotism. Hiring of family members, it was recommended to add grandparent to the list of family members. It was also recommended to state that the county reserves the right to terminate one or both employees. Policy 1038, no changes needed. Policy 1039, verbiage change under paragraph 4. Policy reads, in accordance with the Fair Labor Standards Act, the county will pay a non-exempt employee overtime unless otherwise noted in a bargaining unit agreement. Policy 1040, paycheck. This policy was tabled due to a sample policy needing review. Policy 1041, paycheck garnishments, no changes needed. Policy 1042, paydays and pay periods. Paragraph 1 under policy was restated to read, paydays are on the Friday following the end of each pay period, unless otherwise stated on the annual payroll schedule. Policy 1043, pension plan, IMRF, no changes needed. Policy 1044, performance reviews. Purpose was revised to read, in an effort to improve job performance and help determine annual increases, all full-time and permanent part-time Iroquois County employees may receive an annual evaluation at the discretion of their department head or supervisor. Policy 1045, personal appearance, no changes needed. Policy 1046, personnel records. Employees may see his or her own personnel file in the presence of the county board executive assistant. Chair noted appointments will be made at the county board meeting. Correspondence was distributed with the committee. Workforce Investments submitted their annual report for review. There was no old business. There was no new business, as there was no further business to come before the committee. It was moved by Alt and seconded by Duquette to adjourn at 10:24 a.m. That motion carried by a voice vote. All of which is respectfully submitted, signed by all members present, and I move for the adoption of the report. Do we have a second? This is awful. Are there any questions or comments on the report? Mrs. Crowell.
On page 2, policy 1030, about, I don't know, 6 lines down, that 4 maybe. The county uses the rolling backward-looking method for determining the available FMLA leave in a 12-month period, except in cases of leave to care for a service member. Are we talking about a service member being a military service member?
I believe that's correct.
Okay, well,
There's a, off the top of my head, Donna doesn't have it in front of me, but there's a statute that states specific guidelines for service members.
okay, and that's fine, but over on policy 1033, we refer to military service members, so I think for consistency, we should make that say military and for clarification, military service members.
You have any other comments?
No, I'm done.
Okay, is there anyone else? Seeing none, the clerk will call the roll, please.
Bentz.
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Crow.
Yes.
Ducat.
Yes.
Geiger. Hughes.
Yes.
McGinnis.
Yes.
Awful. Sure.
Yes.
Watts. Whitlow.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Alt.
Yes.
And Barron's.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Next is Mr. Behrens with the Management Services Committee.
Your committee to whom was referred management services would beg leave to submit the following report on matters before them. Your committee met at the Administrative Center on January 5, 2023 at 10:06 a.m. Members present were Behrens and Crow. Paul Bowers, Mitchell Benson, and John Zumwalt were absent. Also present, County Board Chairman John Schur, Finance Manager Jill Johnson, and Maintenance Supervisor Chris Drake. The meeting was called to order. It is moved by Donna Crow and seconded by Lowell Behrens to approve the agenda. Motion carried by voice vote. There were no public comments. Maintenance Supervisor Chris Drake included the following. Precision Plumbing resolved an issue with the glycol loop. The faucet was replaced in the assessment office kitchenette due to a leak. Drain issues were fixed in the deputy's garage. Lemon Edger Construction installed 9 new openers for the deputy's garage. Parking lots were plowed twice in December, and salt was applied to sidewalks. Drake also walked the buildings, including the animal control facility, to ensure there were no issues due to extreme weather. Centrica provided the committee with a measurement and verification report for a 3-year that requires a signature on the letter of acknowledgement. The committee will further review the details of the contract and the balance of the loan next month. Drake contacted TK Elevators about the time frame on the elevator project and has received no updates. Drake discussed the dead trees that have been removed, and Barron's mentioned planting new trees to fill in the empty space. Crow suggested contacting the FSA office about when they will be holding their tree sale. The fencing and mulch at the Administrative Center was discussed. The committee will discuss removal of the fencing next month. There were no updates on the county farm. Hendrick Strange will be contacted to ensure they have been in contact with Walker Farm regarding the tiling project. The committee will be viewing a building in Watseka today following the management meeting for potential placement of the morgue. Karen stated the waste hauling contract expires August 31, 2023. The committee reviewed the claims due to a lack of quorum. It was recommended by Crow and seconded by Behrens to send claims to the county board for approval. There was no old business. There was no new business. As there was no further business to come before the committee, it was moved by Behrens and seconded by Crow to adjourn at 10:32 a.m. Motion carried. All wishes respectfully submitted, and I move for adoption.
We have a motion on the floor to approve the management report. Do we have a second? Mrs. Crowe. Are there any questions or comments regarding the report? Seeing none, the clerk will call the roll, please.
Bowers.
Yes.
Crow.
Yes.
Ducat.
Yes.
Geiger.
Yes.
Hughes. McGinnis.
Yes.
Awful.
Yes.
Sure.
Yes.
Watts.
Yes.
Whitlow.
Yes.
Williams.
I was gonna have her.
Alt.
That's okay. I was gonna have her.
Barron's.
Okay.
Bentz.
Yes.
Okay, Health Committee, Mr. Gat.
Ms. Awful.
Mrs. Awful, excuse me.
Okay. Mr. Chairman and members of the county board, your committee to whom was referred health would beg leave to submit the following report on the matters before them. Your committee met at the Administrative Center on January 3rd, 2023 at 9:03 a.m. Members present were Paul Duquette, Doug Geiger, Steve Hughes, and Doug Whitlow. Barbara Awful was absent. Also present, interim ICPHD Administrator Eric Cece and Finance Manager Jill Johnson. The meeting was called to order. It was moved by Doug Geiger and seconded by Jud Whitlow to approve the agenda. Motion carried by a voice vote. The committee reviewed the claims. It was moved by Geiger and seconded by Steve Hughes to pay the claims subject to county board approval. A roll call vote was taken. Motion carried. There were no public comments. Finance Manager Jill Johnson reported the registration deposit for December was $6,090. There are 8 cases currently open with 6 dogs waiver replacement. The 2023 tags have been ordered and received. The tags were delivered to Dr. Joe's Pet Clinic and the Animal Clinic of Gilman, as they are the only 2 veterinarians in Iroquois County that can issue tags besides the treasurer's office. The animal control officers closed 15 cases in December. The closed cases consist of 11 dogs running loose, 1 closed bite report, 4 kennel inspections, 1 abandonment case, 1 house fire assist, and 1 animal in a vehicle assist. Johnson explained, we are currently paying the animal control officers $85 per transportation or pickup plus mileage and $55 per inspection plus mileage. Also, $55 is paid to them per kennel duty with no mileage. Kennel duty occurs once in the morning and once in the evening. The dog runs for the animal control facility are not expected until spring. Interim ICPHD Administrator Eric Cece distributed the monthly summary report of programs. Environmental Health issued 122 permits to licensed food establishments. CC noted the numbers reported for community health are investigations and not necessarily confirmed cases. Due to staffing limitations, ICPHD is no longer able to provide assessments at the jail. There was no old business, there was no new business, as there was no further business to come before the committee. It was moved by Hughes and seconded by Whitlow to adjourn at 9:19 a.m. Motion carried by a voice vote, all of which is respectfully submitted, and I move for its adoption.
There's a motion on the floor to approve the health committee report. Is there a second? Mr. Whitlow, are there any questions or comments regarding the report? Mr. Watts?
What is the process that we're using to hire a new public health administrator?
That's a function of the Board of Health.
Okay.
And they are advertising for that position, and they're the ones that will conduct the interviews and the whole process. And Mrs. Crowe?
What does it mean ICPHD is no longer able to provide assessments at the jail? Are those Medicaid assessments, or is that our kitchen, or what is that?
In the past, when prisoners have been brought in, they've conducted some initial assessments of their health. Right now, they've got some limitations staff-wise in the health department that prevent them from being able to do that, so that's being done by the people at IMH.
Did they come out to the jail to do that, or?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
And it was done the same way when the health department did, they would go to the
I'm
jail.
sorry, I didn't hear that.
When the health department did that, they would go to the jail as well. Are there any other questions or comments? Seeing none, the clerk will call the roll, please.
Crow,
Yes.
Ducat,
Yes.
Geiger,
Yes.
Hughes,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Awful. Yes. Sure,
Yes.
Watts,
Yes.
Whitlow,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Alt,
Yes.
Barron's,
Yes.
Bentz,
Yes.
and Bowers. Carried.
Okay, tax and zoning, Mr. Ducat.
Mr. Chairman and members of the county board, your committee to whom is referred tax zoning would beg leave to submit the following report on the matters before them. Your committee met at the Administrative Center on January 3rd, 2023 at 9:43 a.m. Members present were Ducat, Geiger, Hughes, and Whitlow. Barb Awful was absent. Also present, Finance Manager Jill Johnson, Treasurer Kurt Alberts, County Clerk Brian Suver, Supervisor of Assessment Bob Yergler, and EMA Director Eric Cece. The meeting was called to order. It was moved by Whitlow and seconded by Hughes to approve the agenda. Motion carried by a voice vote. The committee reviewed the claims. It was moved by Doug Geiger and seconded by Whitlow to pay the claims subject to county board approval. A roll call vote was taken. Motion carried. There were no public comments. Department heads gave their monthly reports. County Clerk Brian Suver reported January 4th. This is the first day for voters to apply for vote by mail ballots. Ballots will not be mailed out until February 23rd, which is also When early voting begins, the county clerk's office will begin working on ballot certification. There will be a question on the ballot for the Hoopeston School District regarding whether the district shall be elected at large rather than by township and range. Suver is working with Supervisor of Assessments Bob Yurgler on getting the township and the ranges separated in order to have each of these individual questions on the ballot. Suver also reported all of the levies are entered for the taxing bodies. Lastly, Suver informed the committee last month her office will be mailing statements of economic interest letters to get a request from each of the taxing bodies for their list of people required to file statements of economic interest. These letters will be mailed today with a due date of February 1st. Treasurer Kurt Alberts reported the Treasurer's Office has a vacancy for a deputy clerk. Supervisor of Assessments Bob Yurgler reported Board of Review is in session and doing tentative decisions for 2022 assessments. Yurgler announced to the committee that due to personal reasons, he plans to retire at the end of July. He does have an employee in the assessment office that has been going to school and is interested in taking the position. Yurgler said he will recommend her for the position, but ultimately the decision is up to the tax committee and the county board. The planning and zoning report for December was distributed to the committee as follows. Building permits, December 2022, agricultural 0, residential 3, wind tower 0. Building permits, FY 2023, residential 3, agricultural 0, wind tower 0. Building inspection, December 2022, 5. No zoning board of appeals, accepting resumes for the zoning administrator position until January 6. Yurgler will begin the interview process towards the end of the month. There was no old business, there was no new business. There was no further business to come before the committee. It was moved by Whitlow and seconded by Hughes to adjourn at 9:52 a.m. Motion carried by a voice vote, all of which are respectfully submitted, and I ask for its adoption.
There's a motion on the floor to approve the Tax and Zoning Committee report. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. McGinnis. We have any questions or comments, Mr. Geiger?
State what was reported at that minutes of that meeting is what took place at nothing else.
Can you repeat that?
What took place at the meeting was stated in the minutes of the meeting, and nothing else took place except what's reported in the minutes.
Yeah.
I was confused by today's agenda a little bit, so.
What is on the agenda that's confusing?
Well, there's a resolution included in today's packet that states the Tax and Planning Committee recommends something. And I was confused because we didn't talk about it at the committee meeting.
What's on the agenda under item 2 is a separate consideration. That would not be in the report.
Okay.
So
I
when-
was just reading what it said here, where it says your Tax and Planning Committee recommends the adoption of something. So I'm sure you'll straighten out for me. Thank you.
Okay. Is there anyone else that has any questions about the report? Seeing none, the clerk will call the roll, please.
Ducat,
Yes.
Geiger,
Yes.
Hughes,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Awful,
Yes.
Sure,
Yes.
Watts, Whitlow,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Alt,
Yes.
Barron's,
Yes.
Benz,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes.
and Crow.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, as noted by Mr. Geiger on your agenda, under item number 2, under the Tax and Planning and Zoning Committee, we have discussion and action on sale of properties that were acquired during the delinquent tax sale. These were not covered during the tax committee meeting, that's why they're listed separately.
Right, they were received after the tax committee met, and before they could go to finance. Everybody has the resolutions in front of them, at least you should. They're the standard resolutions that the trustee sends before they, provide a deed for properties. The one going to Jean May is an actual sale. So it's in, the amount of $807, which is the base price, basic fee that the trustee charges. The second resolution, going to with the name of Chrissy Sears Bunch, that is a parcel that the trustee had a contract for sale on, and they collected $524, but the person defaulted on the payment, so they've just been holding that $524. So this resolution would allow the trustee to disperse this money to the county, so the county can disperse the $313.35, rather than them just holding the money in their account.
Are there any questions or comments regarding that explanation?
So what's being sold for $807?
Parcel number 3618452021, which is a parcel at Lake Iroquois. It's a lot that the county acquired through the delinquent tax process, that it went to tax sale. No one purchased it, no tax buyers purchased it at the tax sale, so it automatically defaulted to the trustee. The trustee holds it for 2.5 years, then goes to court to get a tax deed for it, and then they do the due diligence of having an auction to sell those parcels. When no one buys them at that auction, then the trustee has the okay to just start selling the parcels. So Jean May, who is that parcel is being sold to, contacted the trustee, said, hey, I want to buy this for the base price of $807, and they made a deal to sell it.
And then the other resolution concerns what?
The other resolution is for a parcel on, I believe, North 2nd Street. There's a house on that parcel, but the person that they entered a contract with defaulted on the contract, and the trustee cannot get back in contact with them. So this is just a resolution that will disperse that $524 that they collected, rather than them just holding it in their bank account.
Thank you.
Was that the amount of taxes that we're doing?
Absolutely not. No, That's just the amount that they came up with to sell it for, which it wasn't $524. They just didn't collect all the money on it.
Yeah, I was looking at the total amount due. It says $3,244. I didn't know whatever.
Are you looking at the actual resolution? Right. So that one, that amount, that 3,000, that would be the amount for the taxes that person was going to repay the trustee, and they never finished that contract.
Okay. If there's no further questions or comments, we need a motion to approve this. Mrs. Awful, seconded by Mr. Williams. No further questions or comments, the clerk will call the roll, please.
Geiger? Hughes?
Yes.
McGinnis?
Yes.
Awful?
Yes.
Sure?
Yes?
Watts?
Yes.
Whitlow?
Yes.
Williams?
Yes.
Alt?
Yes.
Barons?
Yes.
Bentz?
Yes.
Bowers?
Yes.
Crow?
Yes.
And Ducat.
Yes.
Okay, next is the Judicial and Public Safety Committee. Mr. Whitlow.
Mr. Chairman, members of the County Board, your committee to whom referred Judicial and Public Safety would beg leave to submit the following report on the matters before them. Your committee met at the courthouse on January 4, 2023 at 3 p.m. The members present were Whitlow, Hughes, and Watts. Mitchell Bentz and Raymond Williams were absent. Also present, Sheriff Clint Perzee, Coroner Bill Cheatham, and ETS Director Eric Raymond. The meeting was called to order. It was moved by Steve Hughes and seconded by Scott Watts to approve the agenda. Motion carried by a voice vote. There were no public comments. Sheriff Clint Perzee presented his monthly report to the committee as follows. New updates on Safety Act as of December 30th, 2022. Safety Act provisions for no cash bail have been put on hold per Illinois Supreme Court. Deputy Ben Ravens will be going to the PTI training in Champaign on January 8th. Delmer Owens has been hired to replace Ben Ravens' position in corrections. Owens has previous corrections training. Deputy Jeremy Ellison has been hired for the DCFS contract position. It's working out great having 3 correctional officers back on the day shift. 39 arrests intakes in December, 31 male and 8 female. December jail population, daily average population was 22.52. Average length of stay, 84.92 days. 21 male, 3 female, 2 on ankle bracelets. December medical, 7 hospital emergency room prompt care visits this month, 1 IMH doctor appointment, 4 mental health visits to the jail, 17 nurse practitioner visits every other Thursday, 5 inmate medical and intake exams, 6 dentist visits, 2 IMH lab, 3 telehealth visits, 4 Dwayne Dean Clinic in Kankakee, methadone, 1 Gibson area hospital, mental health, jail overtime for December, 83 hours paid, 106 hours comp, part-time hours for December, 0. Brzee also provided the committee with the year-end stats for 2022. An additional claim to ATS Acoustics in amount of $378.64 was given to the committee for the review and approval. Brzee explained the service is for acoustic panels in the telehealth room and will be paid for the state opioid response grant. Coroner Bill Cheatham reported the management committee will be viewing a building tomorrow in Watsika for the placement of the morgue. The building does require some updates. The bill to increase cremation fees from $50 to $100 has passed the Senate and hopefully passed the House this week. Cheatham says he currently has 3 deputies to take calls for him, and 1 deputy is not always readily available. Cheatham's chief deputy, Craig DeVries, has stated that he is able to pick up the extra calls. Cheatham would like to recommend to increase the pay DeVries from Coroner's Automation Fund. He will speak to the management or finance committee about this increase. Lastly, Cheatham submitted a claim for the approval of Champaign County Coroner's Office for morgue fees totaling $1,660 and a claim in the amount of $200 for Jeremy Snodgrass for calls in December. The committee reviewed probation and court services activity report for December. The committee reviewed Circuit Clerk Lisa Hines' monthly report. ETS Director Eric Raymond distributed his monthly report to the committee. Raymond informed the committee offered employment to a former employee. The offer was initially accepted and then declined. An offer was made to another applicant and they are expected to start on January 20th, possibly sooner. There was no old business, there was no new business. The committee reviewed the claims. It was moved by Watts, seconded by Hughes to pay the judicial and public safety claims, including additional claims submitted by Sheriff Clint Brzee and Coroner Bill Cheatham, subject to the county board approval. A roll call vote was taken. Motion carried. As there was no further business to come before the committee, it was moved by Watts, seconded by Hughes to adjourn the meeting at 3:21 p.m. Motion carried by a voice vote. All with which respectfully submitted, signed by members present, and I would move for adoption.
There's a motion on the floor to approve the judicial committee, seconded by Mr. Watts. Are there any questions or comments? Mr. Williams?
I apologize for not meeting that meeting. What's the date for the February meeting?
There's a list.
It's not on the list. It's not on the public calendar on the website.
February 8th at 3 PM. Sorry for overspeaking you.
Yeah, there it is.
It's on there, right?
That's
It is.
the
It's
right
on there.
date, February 8th.
Okay, I see it, okay, there.
February
My
8th.
apology again.
It's on there.
Are there any other questions or comments about the judicial report? Seeing none, the clerk will call the roll, please.
Hughes. McGinnis.
Yes.
Awful.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yes.
Watts. Whitlow.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Alt. Behrens. Benz. Bowers.
Yes.
Crow.
Yes.
Ducat.
Yes.
And Geiger.
Yes.
Okay, Finance IT Committee, Mr. Behrens.
Mr. Chairman and members of the county board, your committee to whom I referred Finance IT would beg leave to submit the following report on matters before them. Your committee met at the Administrative Center on January 5, 2023 at 9 a.m. Members present were McTaggart, Behrens, Geiger, McGinnis, and Watts. Charlie Alt and Paul Bowers were absent. Also present, County Board Chairman John Scher, County Board Member Donna Crow, Finance Manager Jill Johnson, Sheriff Clint Frazee, County Clerk Brian Suver, Treasurer Kurt Albers, Coroner Bill Cheatham, Probation Director Tom Latham, EMA Director Eric Cece, Bernie McCarthy with Area Wide, Myron Munyon with Compass Insurance, and Susie Werner with Homestar Insurance. The meeting was called to order. It was moved by Chad McGinnis and seconded by Doug Geiger to approve the agenda. Motion carried by a voice vote. There were no public comments. Myron Munyon with Compass Insurance had no new business to report to the committee. Susie Werner with Homestar Insurance reported the deductibles Blue Cross Blue Shield reset on January 1st. Also, the HRA feed from Blue Cross Blue Shield to Envision is going well. Bernie McCartney with Area Wide reported everything is going well with all the planned projects for last year are completed. McCartney provided the committee with backup internet pricing from MediaCom. The business pricing is $169 per month. If our current connection fails, the backup internet connection will allow for no downtime. Doug Geiger stated there are other internet options that are more cost effective such as Connexus. We'll provide contact information to McCartney and Finance Manager Jill Johnson. Finance IT Manager Mike McTaggart asked McCartney to get a quote from Connexus, and the committee can make a decision on the backup internet plan next month. Johnson added that a lot of major IT projects were completed last year. Adam Sidoris with Area Wide has spent a lot of time cleaning up items on the back end and continues to stay busy with on-site work on Tuesdays. There are no major projects scheduled for this year. Department heads gave their monthly report. They are as follows. EMA Director Eric Stacey reported he was focused on 3 IEMA requirements that are due, including the Illinois Capability Assessment and the THIRA tool. The County Emergency Operation Plan is due in a couple of months. Revisions are due every 2 to 3 years. Stacey is working on a NIMS certificate compliance survey. CC received notification that FEMA has accepted our application for the Hazardous Mitigation Plan grant. She has also been advised to wait until the state sends an execution letter before activities are planned. Once the execution letter is received, Stacey will put out a request for proposal for a contractor to write the hazardous mitigation plan. Lastly, a public hearing was held last night for the farmers market fees. Public Act 102-0862 was passed in the state legislation last year. Stacey explained this public act covers frozen potential hazard foods that are prepackaged at a licensed or permanent processing facility that have the main ingredient grown or raised on the farmer's farm. Neither poultry, dairy, eggs raised or grown on the farm of the farmer selling the food product. Stacey said the point of the hearing, which was required by this law, was to give locals an opportunity to voice their opinion on what they believe to be a reasonable fee or if fees shouldn't be charged. A decision on the fees should be made at the next Board of Health meeting. County Clerk Brian Suver asked for a clarification on whether or not the county board would be passing an ordinance once the Board of Health has made their decision. Probation Director Tom Latham reported the probation officer's contract expired November 20th. Negotiations have begun for the new contract. County Clerk Brian Suber reported she received 2 resolutions for the county's trustee for sale of parcels that the trustee has acquired through delinquent tax process. Suber will bring the resolutions to the county board for approval. Sheriff Clint Brzee reported new updates for the Safety Act as of December 30th. Safety Act provisions for no cash bail have been put on hold per Illinois Supreme Court. Deputy Ben Ravens will be attending the PTI police training in Champaign on January 8th. Delmer Owens was hired to replace Deputy Ravens in corrections. Deputy Jeremy Allison was hired for the DCFS contract position. Brzee provided an update on the radio system upgrade, stating Motorola has completed site walks at possible tower site locations, and they will provide a price for equipment. Brzee also provided year-end statistics for the committee's review. County Treasurer Kurt Albers reported he is waiting to hear back from a local banker that is interested in bidding on county certificates of deposit. Coroner Bill Cheatham reported he currently has 3 deputies, 2 that are on payroll and 1 that is paid from the coroner's automation fund. This deputy is not readily available to take calls, but Cheatham, chief deputy, has offered to pick up calls. Cheatham said he will be increasing the salary of the chief deputy from the coroner's automation fund. Finance Director Jill Johnson reported the audit engagement letter has been received and signed electronically. Auditors have been on site for 2 days performing preliminary work and will be back next week to continue their work. Effective January 1, 2023, the Internal Revenue Service increased the standard mileage from 62.5 cents per mile to 65.5 cents per mile. It is moved by McTaggart, second by McGinnis, to adopt the new federal mileage rate of 65.5 cents per mile. Roll call vote was taken, motion carried. County Board Chairman John Schur attended the meeting of the 911 Advisory Board via Zoom in December. Schur said the meeting resulted in a lot of good information. He provided an example stating that they have initiated a project to determine what states around us and how they are structured for their funding of joint dispatch. Schur doesn't know when those results will be available, but the information should be very helpful as far as resolving the situation. Schur will be attending another 911 Advisory Board meeting on Monday, January 9th, and will be able to provide additional updates at the County Board meeting if appropriate. On Wednesday, January 11th, Schur and ETS Director Eric Raymond have a meeting scheduled in Champaign with a member of 911 Advisory Board. This time there is no recommendation on a meeting date regarding joint dispatch fees for 2023. Schur reported he has received notice from the FOP union representative that telecommunicators are ready to begin negotiations. The committee reviewed the claims. Scott Watts questioned claims submitted to the Finance Committee that should be submitted on the Judicial Committee. It was explained that if claims are turned in late, the claims are submitted to the Finance Committee for approval rather than making the vendor wait another month or longer to receive payment. Geiger expressed his opinion that there is a claims deadline and it should be followed. Geiger also asked how late claims affect the budget. Johnson said late claims do not affect the budget. They are still paid from the appropriate fund. Overall, the final decision to pay claims is made by the full county board. It was moved by McGinnis and seconded by Behrens to pay the claims subject to county board approval. A roll call vote was taken. Motion carried. There was no old business. There was no new business. As there was no further business to come before the committee, it was moved by Behrens, seconded by McGinnis to adjourn at 9:37 a.m. Motion carried by voice vote, all which is respectfully submitted. I move for its adoption.
There's a motion on the floor to approve the Finance IT Committee report. Is there a second? Mr. Hughes. Are there any questions or comments regarding the report?
One question on the probation director contract expiration. So do the terms and conditions of the old contract remain in effect till the new agreement is reached?
Yes.
Yep. Is it common for these contracts to expire, or does normally an agreement be reached before their expiration of the current contract?
Ideally, the agreements would be done before the contract expires. In this particular case, I don't know that I can make an excuse for the workload of the FOP union representative, but that is the same person that represents our unions as well, Mr. Burke. I don't know how many bargaining units he represents, but he's claimed recently that he's got quite a big workload on and so forth, so. I mean, in our case, we requested back in July that we initiate bargaining for the contracts that were up at the end of November. That negotiation didn't begin until October. So that's, unfortunately, that's the situation. One comment I would make in here about the 911 Advisory Board at the meeting yesterday, it was a little bit of more information about this project that they have to find out what the states around us do as far as their funding for joint dispatch. I believe they're expecting to have, or hoping to have the results on that sometime in April or May. So that's yet to come. If there are no other questions or comments, we'll have the clerk will call the roll, please.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Awful,
Yes.
Sure,
Yes.
Watts, Whitlow,
Yes.
Williams, Alt, Barron, Spence,
Yes.
Bowers, Crow,
Yes.
Ducat,
Yes.
Geiger,
Yes.
and Hughes.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, next on the agenda is the Transportation and Highway Committee. This committee did not meet this past week, but we have a resolution that needs to be acted on, and that's what you see under there. Discussion and action on a resolution for the Concord County Bridge. Mr. Butzo is here with us from the Highway Department this morning, that he would come forward and maybe give us a little information on this resolution. We can take action accordingly.
The resolution is to pay the county share of a township bridge in Concord Township. 80% of the project will be covered by township motor fuel, or township bridge program fund, which comes out of motor fuel tax. 10% each is paid by the county bridge fund and the township. So this is just to authorize the county's portion of the funding for the project as required by law.
And the bridge is in Concord Township.
Correct.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions or comments on this? If not, we need a motion to approve the resolution. Mr. McGinnis, is there a second? Mrs. Awful? Is there any further questions or comments? Seeing none, the clerk will call the roll, please.
Awful, Sure,
Yes.
Watts,
Yes.
Whitlow,
Yes.
Williams, Alt, Barron, Spence,
Yes.
Bowers, Crow, Ducat,
Yes.
Geiger,
Yes.
Hughes,
Yes.
McGinnis.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, next on the agenda is appointments. I'm sure most of you will recall last month we had some discussion about one of the drainage district appointments. At that time, there was some thought that we might have some further discussion on that issue today, but I've talked to the state's attorney about the matter and also given it further consideration. And so I believe that the chairman has, according to the state's attorney's advice, the authority to bring names before the board for approval. So I've decided not to bring that name at this month. I think the best thing is that this be handled separately, and that's the way we're going to approach it. So the only appointment that we have looking at today is what's listed on your agenda. I would appreciate a motion to approve that appointment. Mr. Geiger, is there a second? Mr. Williams? Are there any questions or comments about the appointments? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion passes. That brings us to claims. Everybody should have been sent a copy of the claims. We have a motion to approve the claims. Mr. McGinnis, seconded by Mrs. Crowe. You have a question also?
No, I just want to remind the board that there was no highway meeting, so those highway claims are separate. So please look at them. And also management,
Got them all right here.
because, well, I know, I'm talking about the list for highway.
Yeah.
It's separate. Under the others, it would include the farm and maintenance and there are others. So this is solely on the board. If you have questions, please take a look and speak up.
Do we have any questions or comments about any of the claims? Seeing none, the clerk will call the roll, please.
Sure.
Yes.
Watts.
Yes.
Whitlow.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Alt.
Yes.
Barron.
Yes.
Bent.
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Crow.
Yes.
Ducat.
Yes.
Geiger.
Yes.
Hughes.
Yes.
McGinnis.
Yes.
And Awful.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, do we have any old business to come before the board today?
Mr. Chairman, not sure if it would be old or new, but regarding House Bill 4412, Senate Amendment 1, I forwarded everyone a link to file witness slips. I also sent an email to UCCI and they pushed it out to all the members to get on and file witness slips before the 11 o'clock meeting. That's our last attempt to make our opposition known. As members of the county board, when it asks who you represent, since we've already passed a resolution opposing, please state Iroquois County Board. It's imperative, even though we know that many of those members could care less because some of our recent bills were 11-1 in opposition and they still passed them. But it's the last attempt to make the record known, so please file the witness slip.
I guess I would add to that the governor is on record as opposing this legislation.
Opposing, but
Whether he's gonna continue that or not, but maybe that would be another step we could take to, in other words, contact the governor's office as well.
exactly. But right now it's in committee. Please file the records.
Yep. Okay, is there any other old business to come before the committee or before the board? Is there any new business? Seeing none, do we have a motion to adjourn? This is Awful, seconded by Mr. Bowers. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. We are adjourned.